You've probably stood in front of a mirror before, pulling at your waistline, wondering why nothing seems to change. Maybe you've lost a few pounds. Maybe your jeans fit slightly better. But here's what you can't see, what no scale will ever show you, what lurks beneath every inch of visible progress. Visceral fat. This isn't the soft, pinchable layer under your skin. This is the deep, dangerous fat coiled around your liver, strangling your pancreas, suffocating your intestines, and quietly choking the life out of your heart. And if you've ever felt like your body was working against you, like weight loss was some cruel joke your metabolism kept playing, you're about to discover why. Because visceral fat isn't just storage, it's sabotage, a hidden enemy releasing inflammatory chemicals every second of every day, hijacking your hunger signals, blocking your insulin, draining your energy until you feel like a shadow of who you used to be. But when this fat finally breaks down, when those cells begin to surrender their grip, something extraordinary happens. Your body doesn't just shrink, it transforms from the molecular level up. The liver stops gasping for air and starts functioning like a precision engine. The heart beats with renewed strength. The brain fog lifts like morning mist burning away in sunlight. Your gut microbiome, that invisible ecosystem inside you, begins to bloom again. And your hormones, those chemical messengers that have been screaming into static for years, finally start speaking in clear, coherent sentences. This video isn't about quick fixes or miracle diets. It's about understanding the silent biological revolution that happens when visceral fat finally surrenders. If you care about real health, about the invisible systems governing your energy, your emotions, your very survival, then what you're about to learn will change everything. Stay with me until the end, because what's blocking your transformation might not be willpower at all. It might be a layer of fat you've never even acknowledged. The quiet signal that changes everything. We imagine fat loss is war, brutal, loud, a battlefield of sweat and sacrifice. But the truth is far more elegant. When visceral fat begins to dissolve, there are no explosions, no dramatic announcements, just tiny biochemical whispers, encrypted messages traveling through your bloodstream like classified intelligence during a silent coup. It starts when your body senses scarcity. Maybe you've been fasting. Maybe you've finally broken free from the sugar cycle. Maybe you're sleeping better, stressing less, moving more. Whatever the trigger, your cells receive a coded transmission. Energy reserves running low, time to access the vault. But here's the fascinating part. Your body doesn't raid the suburbs first, it goes straight to the capital. Why? Because visceral fat lives in the epicenter of metabolic command, nestled against major blood vessels, wrapped around organs that run your entire biological empire. It's more metabolically active than the soft fat under your skin. It's wired directly into your hormonal control center, exquisitely sensitive to insulin, cortisol, and adrenaline. When the breakdown signal arrives, visceral fat doesn't quietly fade away. It explodes into action, releasing high-energy molecules called free fatty acids into your bloodstream, like emergency flares shot into the night sky. These aren't just fuel, they're urgent dispatches, biochemical memos alerting every major organ. Stop burning sugar, we're switching to fat reserves. The liver receives this message first. It immediately begins upgrading its metabolic machinery, ramping up enzymes designed to process fat instead of glucose. The pancreas adjusts insulin output. Muscles prepare to accept a new fuel source. It's like watching an entire government cabinet convene an emergency session, all because one metabolic switch got flipped. And you're just sitting there, maybe feeling slightly hungry, maybe daydreaming about your next meal. But inside, beneath conscious awareness, a metabolic revolution has quietly begun. This is why visceral fat loss doesn't just make you thinner, it fundamentally alters how your organs communicate, how efficiently they operate, how cleanly they burn fuel. Your body targets this fat first, not because it's easy, but because it's dangerous when ignored and extraordinarily powerful when mobilized. The hormonal ceasefire. When visceral fat starts melting, something remarkable happens in your endocrine system. Hormones that have been shouting past each other for years suddenly start listening. It's like a decades-long Cold War ending, not with treaties, but with biochemical reconciliation. Let's start with cortisol, your stress sentinel. In the presence of excess visceral fat, cortisol stays perpetually elevated, keeping your body locked in survival mode. Inflammation simmers constantly, like a fire you can't quite extinguish. But as that deep fat recedes, the flames cool. Cortisol levels normalize. Your nervous system, which has been bracing for disaster, finally exhales. You might not consciously notice this shift at first, but suddenly, sleep comes easier. Anxiety loosens its grip. That constant background buzz of fatigue begins to fade. Your body stops acting like it's perpetually under siege. Then there's insulin, the metabolic gatekeeper. When visceral fat dominates, your cells become deaf to insulin signals. The pancreas screams louder and louder, pumping out more insulin just to get glucose into cells. It's metabolic gridlock. But as visceral fat dissolves, something miraculous happens. Your cells start listening again. Insulin sensitivity improves. Your pancreas no longer needs to shout. A whisper becomes enough. Blood sugar stabilizes, like a ship finally finding calm waters. And here's the beautiful consequence. Sugar cravings vanish, not through willpower, but because your body no longer desperately needs quick energy to override insulin resistance. Next comes leptin, the satiety hormone that should tell your brain when you've eaten enough. But excess visceral fat creates leptin resistance, muting these crucial signals. Your brain becomes deaf to fullness. You eat and eat, never quite satisfied, always wondering why you can't just stop. But when visceral fat breaks down, leptin regains its voice. The brain starts listening. Suddenly, you feel naturally full after meals. You're not battling hunger with willpower anymore, because the hunger itself has changed. It's become reasonable, manageable, human. And then there's adiponectin, the silent ally you've probably never heard of. This hormone helps regulate fat burning and blood sugar, but visceral fat suppresses it ruthlessly. As that deep fat melts away, adiponectin surges back, making your entire metabolism more efficient, more responsive, more forgiving. This isn't just hormone optimization, it's a complete reformation of how your body communicates with itself. The chaos settles, the confusion clears, and for the first time in years, your biology starts working with you instead of against you. The liver's silent upgrade. After the initial flood of fatty acids from melting visceral fat, the liver faces a choice: collapse under the pressure or adapt. It chooses adaptation, quietly, brilliantly. The first transformation happens at the enzymatic level. Proteins like CPT1 and HAAD, which sound like military codes because they essentially are, get dramatically upregulated. These enzymes allow the liver to shift from glucose dependency to fat burning, transforming it from a struggling old engine into a hybrid powerhouse. This switch produces ketones, which are cleaner burning fuels than glucose, less inflammatory byproducts, more stable energy. Your brain, which runs beautifully on ketones, suddenly gets premium fuel instead of cheap gas.
But the liver doesn't just burn fat better. It performs all its other duties with renewed precision. Detoxification improves, blood sugar regulation tightens, hormone processing, everything from estrogen to testosterone to cortisol, becomes more efficient. This explains phenomena that seem almost magical. Clearer skin during fasting periods, emotional stability returning, mental fog lifting. Your hormones aren't backing up in a congested system anymore. They're being processed and cleared properly. Research from Washington University in 2023 tracked individuals practicing intermittent fasting for 8 weeks. Liver enzyme levels dropped by an average of 25%. MRI scans showed measurable improvements in fatty liver conditions. The liver wasn't being starved, it was being given space to heal. And here's the critical piece. As visceral fat breaks down, systemic inflammation plummets. Inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-6, which have been corroding your tissues for years, finally recede. This reduces inflammatory pressure on every organ: the liver, heart, kidneys, blood vessels. Less vascular inflammation means steadier blood pressure. A less stressed heart beats with renewed efficiency. Blood flows more smoothly. Oxygen delivery improves, all because one type of fat finally started disappearing. When the fire finally dies. Visceral fat isn't just storage, it's a chronic inflammatory furnace burning low and constant inside your abdomen. Not dramatic like a fever, not obvious like a swollen joint, just enough heat to damage tissues, disrupt hormones, and keep your immune system perpetually irritated. Why? Because visceral fat cells constantly secrete inflammatory cytokines, chemical signals that put your body in a state of endless, exhausting warfare. Your immune cells, especially macrophages, stay locked in attack mode, treating your own tissues like invaders. When inflammation becomes your default setting, everything suffers. Your cardiovascular system struggles, your neurological function declines, your digestion becomes erratic, you age faster at the cellular level. But when visceral fat breaks down, those inflammatory embers finally cool. Cytokine levels drop. Macrophages, which have been fighting phantom enemies for years, switch roles entirely. They stop attacking and start repairing. This triggers a cascade of healing across your entire immune system. T cells get restructured, inflammatory signals are down-regulated. Most importantly, damaged tissues that have been waiting years for a chance to heal finally get that opportunity. A study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden demonstrated this beautifully. After just 10 to 14 days of fasting, participants with high visceral fat saw C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker, drop by 30 to 40%. The practical effects are profound. People report feeling lighter, not just in weight, but in being. Skin clears, digestion smooths out, mood stabilizes, brain fog lifts, all because the immune system, no longer consumed with fighting internal fires, can finally return to its actual job, protecting you from real threats. Losing visceral fat isn't just about aesthetics, it's about liberating your body from the chronic inflammatory burden that's been silently burning you from the inside out. The toxic vault opens. Here's something most people don't realize. Visceral fat isn't just a fuel depot, it's a toxic storage facility. For years, your body has been quietly sequestering environmental toxins, heavy metals, pesticides, food additives, cosmetic chemicals, things it couldn't eliminate immediately, storing them in fat cells for safekeeping. Then you start fasting, visceral fat breaks down, and suddenly the vault bursts open. All those stored substances flood into your bloodstream at once. Your liver, kidneys, and lymphatic systems scramble into overdrive, working frantically to neutralize and eliminate the toxic backlog. It's necessary, it's healing, but it can feel rough. Fatigue, brain fog, mild digestive upset, mood swings. Some people experience all of these during the first week of significant fat loss. It's not your body failing, it's your body spring cleaning at the cellular level. Like any deep cleaning, it gets messier before it gets clearer. But here's where something beautiful happens. As inflammation drops and the toxic load decreases, your gut microbiome begins to transform. The environment becomes less acidic, more hospitable to beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. These microbes don't just help digest fiber, they produce neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, which governs mood, calmness, and sleep quality. As these beneficial bacteria multiply, the effects ripple outward: lighter digestion, better emotional stability, calmer nerves. This is the gut-brain axis in action. Your gut sends signals to your brain, "We're safe now, the crisis is over." Your brain responds by dialing down stress, allowing your nervous system to shift from survival mode into rest and repair mode. Research from the University of California shows that up to 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. Chronic inflammation from visceral fats suppresses this production. When the fat recedes, serotonin levels climb naturally. People often describe this as feeling light in the gut and light in the head after a few weeks of fasting. It's not placebo, It's biology healing itself.
Once your body has detoxified, cooled inflammation, and rebalanced hormones, it enters what scientists call metabolic flexibility. This is the holy grail of health, the ability to switch effortlessly between glucose and fat as fuel sources. Think of it like this. If your body could only run on glucose, you'd stall every time fuel ran low. But with metabolic flexibility, you become a hybrid engine, smoothly transitioning to burning stored fat and even ketones, those clean, long-lasting fuels your liver produces during fasting. At the center of this transformation are your mitochondria, the cellular power plants. Once sluggish and inefficient, they now ramp up ATP production, your cell's energy currency, while generating less oxidative stress. The result? More energy throughout the day, clearer mental focus, no afternoon crashes, no desperate need for caffeine or sugar just to function. But here's the real breakthrough. When visceral fat breaks down, it unclogs hormonal signaling pathways, making it far easier for your body to burn subcutaneous fat, the visible stuff just under your skin. Before, your hormones were confused, sending mixed signals. Now, they're laser-focused. You start noticing real changes in the mirror. Your appetite stabilizes without effort, cravings decrease naturally, energy levels stay consistent from morning to night. This isn't just weight loss, it's a fundamental recalibration of how your body handles energy. And the best part? This flexibility becomes your new normal. You're no longer a prisoner to sugar. You don't panic when a meal gets skipped. Your body adapts, thrives, and keeps moving forward. Because losing visceral fat isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of a smarter, more resilient metabolism that finally works the way nature designed it. The systems that come back online. If visceral fat were a toxic roommate who never left, its breakdown is like finally reclaiming your home. And the organs celebrating most? Your heart, pancreas, and blood vessels. As deep fat recedes, insulin resistance crumbles. Your cells start listening to insulin again, no longer slamming the door on glucose. Blood sugar stabilizes. Your pancreas, which has been screaming itself hoarse trying to regulate glucose, finally gets to rest. The result? A dramatic drop in type 2 diabetes risk, not through medication, but through the simple act of removing metabolic interference. Simultaneously, your cholesterol profile transforms. When visceral fat dominates, it distorts the ratio of good HDL to bad LDL cholesterol, encouraging plaque buildup in arteries. But as that fat melts away, the lipid battlefield quiets. Your cardiovascular system can finally breathe. According to the American Heart Association, just a 10% reduction in visceral fat can lower heart disease and stroke risk by up to 30%. That's not marketing, that's physiology. You'll notice more stable blood pressure, smoother heart rhythms, less chest tightness, because your heart is no longer wrestling with fat, suffocating every artery. Losing visceral fat isn't just about looking better, it's about protecting the systems that keep you alive. And the beautiful irony? No medication required, just giving your body the space to repair itself through smart nutrition, quality sleep, and reduced chronic stress. The reprogramming. After burning visceral fat, repairing cells, and resetting hormones, the most important shift isn't visible on any scale. It's this. Your body has been reprogrammed not to store dangerous fat the way it used to. Your autonomic nervous system, that delicate balance between fight or flight and rest and digest, begins to stabilize. No longer trapped in artificial survival mode triggered by constant sugar, chronic stress, or terrible sleep, your internal signals become clearer and more trustworthy. The biological set point, the energy balance your body naturally defends, begins to shift downward. Instead of hoarding visceral fat like a bunker for apocalyptic times, your body starts trusting its environment. It senses clean nutrition, low stress, metabolic safety. It no longer feels compelled to build emergency fat reserves deep in your abdomen. The more you sustain healthy patterns, real food, restorative sleep, daily movement, stable blood sugar, the more your body locks in this new state. You're not fighting biology anymore. Your biology is fighting for you. The truth you've been waiting for. Visceral fat isn't just about belly size or vanity. It's a silent disruptor fueling inflammation, hormonal chaos, cellular stress, emotional imbalance, and chronic disease risk. But the moment it starts melting away, your body doesn't just lose fat, it transforms how it functions at every level. The nervous system calms, hormones synchronize, the liver, gut, and brain finally communicate clearly. Energy, focus, mood, they all stabilize, elevate, and lighten. This isn't magic. This is biology doing what it was designed to do when given half a chance. Your body has always been waiting for you to create the conditions for healing. Now you know what happens when you finally do.